All right, guys, welcome back. This time we're in person together, and I think we were both a little right based on our last podcast, but what we both did not predict is we already have a ruling and a settlement that has already taken place. We thought 3 days ago that we were going to have another 4 or 5 years before we saw a settlement or a new ruling, but turns out $1.8 billion later, we have a settlement, and our initial gut reactions aren't too great, specifically for the NAR. If it settled so fast, why? Why would you pay anyone $1.8 billion to not figure out what's going on and mediate and make sure you're not overpaying or underpaying on this settlement? Why would you be so quick to pay $1.8 billion? Well, because someone has dirt on you. And in this case, it's the NAR, but I'm just a property manager. I never believed in the NAR to begin with. So that's why I'm curious to ask you, Taylor, what's going on? Why did they settle so fast?
This caught me by surprise too, because I thought for sure this is going to take 5+ years, because if they didn't have anything to hide.
What's up, bud? We're going up.
I got this standing desk, and anytime you touch it, it just goes up and down. So, the reason that I originally said, okay, this is going to take 4 to 5 years, there's not going to be any immediate effect, is because if the NAR was innocent, it would be worth fighting for. In this case, clearly it was not. What went wrong, I don't know. We probably will never know, because they paid $1.8 billion for us to not know what happened behind the scenes. Regardless, this is where we're at. So what do you think is going to happen immediately? What do you think is going to happen long term, and so forth?
Yeah, so this one's really interesting because all of the older agents that I've met, the more successful agents, like getting into the industry, one thing they've always said, and the good agents will say, commissions, you don't mess with them, but I don't believe in that rule. But what I always hear is commissions, you don't mess with them. And I've heard it a long time. Commissions you don't mess with. You don't want to mess with the NAR. Like, they kind of run the show. You have to pay their dues and everything like that. And it's never really made sense to me, coming from the property management perspective of, like, you get your license and then you conduct your business with that license, as long as you are within the laws of whatever that world is and you have the license, you build your business on top of it. But for realtors, it's always been, yep, you do that, and then you sign up for NAR so that you can list on the MLS. Oh, but because you're NAR, now you're beholden to their rules. And when you break it all down, they're the ones that are price fixing the commissions, and not hard price fixing by saying there's a number anywhere here or there, but they are saying, hey, there is a percentage that needs to be collected.
Right.
And that's where we're probably seeing a lot of the shadiness, but we don't know exactly where it goes. I mean, Taylor, do you have any comments on that?
No, I think that's really what comes down to it. Is the biggest issue here is they've manufactured these fees through forcing realtors to use this funnel and this system that they've created, and you don't have a choice. You have to do it, and I think it was for suspect motives, because I think it's just been ending up in their pockets, and it's been a topic of discussion for many years. The value of which they bring, it's questionable. There's not a lot that they bring to the table for realtors, for protections or for options, and in today's ever-evolving world, what we have access to digitally, we don't really need to utilize the MLS like that. So in a way, as a realtor, I'm kind of happy with this, because I think this will open a lot of exciting new doors for us, a lot of new options. The ruling is interesting because in a way, what it says is you're no longer obligated to offer a buyer's agent a commission. That's really the big thing here. In terms of immediate effect, that's the big one. No more buyer's agent commissions. However, you can, if you want, you can offer a buyer's agent commission. You're just not obligated to. So for me, how I internalize that is, well, if a seller wants to list their or sell their house and a listing agent is telling them, hey, if you want to get buyers here, if you want to get top dollar, you're probably going to have to pay a buyer's agent, because if you don't, you're not going to get any showings.
Or a
Unfortunately,
lot less,
you'll get
right?
a lot less. Unfortunately, that is a reality. And I do think in many years that will change and we won't have to rely on that. We'll have different creative ideas and solutions. In the short term, I think it's just going to be systematically um, factored in that you're going to be continuing to pay a buyer's agent for obvious reasons. So in the
Yep.
short term, I'm not um, sounding the alarm bells. I don't think anything crazy is going to happen. I think we're still going to have relatively normal real estate, but I do think that a year, a couple years longer term, I do think that there's some exciting things happening that we can kind of be at the forefront of and get creative. And I know you have some ideas on kind of what you think the new agency model might look like.
Yeah, so my initial reaction in our last podcast, I brought up like the a la carte agency model of being able to go, hey, I need just showings right now while I'm early, don't need to pay a lot, just really need someone to open the door for me and give me some high level feedback of the property. Versus I just need a negotiation for the buy side. Like I just need someone to help me walk through each stage of negotiating the best price for the property. I think there's going to be a lot of that in the long term, but short term wise, like Taylor said, not a lot of immediate changes will happen. I think if anything, the only thing on paper we'll see a big shift in will be dual agent because of this. I think listing brokers will be like, oh, we don't have to. And then they won't post it on the MLS. And then all these Sally and Suleys will come on down and say, oh, look at this property. There's no buyer agent commission. That's one of the new things. Oh, and you'll represent me. It's called dual agency.
Right.
Happens all the time already. But without a buyer's commission, you're just getting less represented buyers being shown that property. All mom and pop buyers, maybe investors that do it themselves, and they'll take the dual agent. Investors were already doing dual agent. Some people were already doing it. It's just going to be more common. And maybe you want to have someone come in to help you on that. Maybe sellers are going to get the better end of the stick more and buyers are going to get represented a little bit worse. I think that might happen. I think buyers are going to shoot themselves in the foot a little bit, but
Right.
they're going to save 2 to 3% long term. So it's just going to be a long balancing game. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that there's going to be, unfortunately, some people having to suffer for that trial and error because we don't really know what the
No.
future is going to hold. We don't really know um, what's going to happen, which, like I said, I'm excited for, because I think that people like us doing property management and real estate, we're already thinking of really cool, exciting ways to stay relevant and keep ourselves in the game and stay ahead of this. So for that reason, I'm really excited. I think we can still offer incredible value to people and still make it make sense for everyone across the board. At the end of the day, buying a house, it's if you don't do it for a living, if you're not an investor, it's really difficult. It's a very emotional process. Negotiations are hard, and having someone who's an expert and who lives and breathes this business is very, very, very important. I can't tell you how many for sale by owner horror stories I've heard where things just go terribly wrong in the negotiations because they just don't know how to navigate it. And that's where I think we can step in and offer incredible value, make it affordable for people, and that's what I see long term is just more creative ideas to still bring to the table what we bring today, but without maybe that 6% price tag that people are accustomed to.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's a step in the right direction. It kind of shows you who within the world of real estate were the bad apples in terms of like entities and organizations. I don't think any one brokerage was, trying to shove it to America, but it seems like NAR, with how fast that settled, it's a little suspect. Keep looking at them a little bit deeper because they might have more dirt that maybe was covered in that settlement. Maybe we'll never know. But at the end of the day, it's about to get a lot more creative, hopefully more affordable for people just getting started into real estate. But thank you guys for listening to another podcast and have a good rest of your day.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Peace.